In the gentle morning light of Akure, the city seemed to hum with quiet promise. Yellow buses weaving through the streets, vendors calling out with their melodic tones, and the sun painting gold across rust-colored rooftops. Robbie stepped out of the bus, a single suitcase in her hand, and a heart full of uncertainty. She had left Lagos behind, the noise, the memories, the heartbreak, hoping Akure would offer something new, something peaceful. She had always been the quiet, thoughtful one. 21, sharp-minded but gentle at her core. Her hair, neatly tied up as always, swayed with the breeze as she took in the new city. Akure wasn't as loud as Lagos, but it was alive, a pulse of stories, dreams, and second chances. And Ruby had come here for one reason, to start over. The small apartment she found was modest but warm. A single window overlooked the street, where children ran after kites and women sold roasted corn. Each morning, she'd sit by that window with her cup of tea, watching the world unfold. Then came her new job, a small design studio tucked behind a busy junction. Her days filled with soft laughter, gentle chaos, and the scent of freshly printed paper. That's where she met him, a newcomer, just like her. His name was Ademide, a young architect who had recently moved to Akure for a project. He was different, calm, focused, but with eyes that carried both mystery and kindness. Their first meeting wasn't magical. He had accidentally spilled tea on her files. But even in that awkward moment, something clicked. A spark. The kind that doesn't roar at first, but lingers, quietly waiting to grow. Over the next few weeks, Robbie and Adamide found themselves crossing paths again and again. Sometimes at the coffee shop near the roundabout, sometimes while waiting for the same kike. He'd smile, that quiet kind of smile that said more than words. And slowly, Robbie began to smile back. They talked about cities, dreams, failures, and the strange comfort of starting over. Adimid had come to Akure to escape the weight of expectations. Robbie had come to escape the weight of memories. Together they found a strange, healing rhythm. The city became their silent witness. Orange sunsets over the hills, night lights reflecting on puddled roads, and laughter echoing from street corners. But life, as it often does, tested what was growing between them. Ademide's project neared completion, and whispers spread that he might be transferred back to Abuja. Robbie tried to ignore the ache that thought brought, the fear of losing something she had only just found. She didn't tell him how much he meant to her. She couldn't. Maybe it was pride, maybe it was fear. So she kept her distance, her smiles shorter, her eyes quieter, and Ademid noticed. One rainy evening, as thunder rolled over the city, he found her sitting outside the studio watching raindrops race down the window. Robbie, he said softly, have I done something wrong? She shook her head, forcing a small smile. No, you've done everything right. He waited for her to say more, but she didn't. The silence between them said everything their hearts couldn't. Days turned into weeks. Ademid grew distant, unsure whether to stay or leave. Robbie too felt herself fading back into old habits, walls built out of fear. But love, real love, doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers in quiet acts. He began showing up again, bringing her lunch when she forgot to eat, leaving small sketches on her desk, each one signed with a single word, stay. And then one evening, under a sky painted with pink and gold, he finally spoke the truth. I came to Akure for work, he said, standing beside her at the bus stop. But now, I don't think I can leave. Robbie turned, eyes wide, unsure if she heard him right. He smiled, gentle, certain. Because if I leave, I'll be leaving the best thing I found here. For a moment, everything else disappeared. The noise, the city, the world. It was just them. And for the first time, Robbie didn't run from her feelings. She let them exist, messy, real, and beautiful. Months later, Akure felt like home. Rabi and Ademide spent weekends exploring the city, the local market, the art cafe near Cathedral Road, the quiet gardens where time seemed to slow down. They had found peace, not because life was perfect, but because they had chosen to stay, to grow, and to love. One afternoon, as sunlight spilled through the studio window, Ademide placed a tiny paper flower on her desk. On its petals were the words, "You came for a new start, but love found you first." Robbie looked up, smiling through tears, and in that simple, quiet moment, surrounded by laughter, colors, and the hum of Akure city, she realized something she'd been running from all along. Sometimes, love doesn't come when you chase it. It finds you when you finally stop running. Akure was alive that evening, children playing in the streets, music echoing from distant stalls, and the scent of roasted plantain filling the air. Ruby stood by the window of her apartment, her hair still tied up as always, a necklace glimmering softly under the warm light. She wasn't the same girl who had stepped off that bus months ago. She was braver, softer, fuller. Ademi's laughter echoed from the kitchen, and she turned, her eyes bright with quiet joy. The city outside kept moving, loud, colorful, beautiful, but inside that small apartment, time seemed to pause. Because finally, Ruby had found what she wasn't even looking for: love, home, and herself. Subscribe for more interesting videos.